Does the world really need a hydraulic 13-speed group set? It's a question I'm going to try and answer in this video by riding Rotor's brand new 1x13 group set. So we've got hydraulics not just for the disc brakes, but also the rear derailleur. All other group sets currently available are either mechanical or electronic, making this the only hydraulic group set currently available. So as you can see, we've got a single ring at the front and 13 sprockets on the cassette at the back. So you're going to join me on a ride today around some of the trails and roads here in Bath. This is an Argon 18 Dark Matter. It's a gravel bike, as you can see from the knobby tyres. So I'm going to ride some sweet gravel and some road and see how the group set performs. It's also worth me reminding, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our channel by hitting that red button down below. And if you've got any questions while you're watching this video, do put them in the comment section below. Love to hear your thoughts and impressions on Rotor's 1x13 group sets. So let's roll the intro and go for a spin. While I'm riding, let me give you some context to this new group set. It was first launched 1 year ago, and you can watch a more detailed, in-depth video by clicking the link above or down in the description below. So I won't go into all the nitty-gritty here, but there are some things worth knowing. Rotor is a Spanish company best known for cranksets, power meters and oval chainrings. But that all changed in 2016 when it launched its first group set. It was called Uno, and the big news was a hydraulic gear changing that it introduced. Now Rotor has quickly evolved the group set into what we see today, 1x13, ditching the front mech, updating the rear mech and developing all new 13-speed cassettes, making it the world's first 13-speed group set. It's a modular system with a choice of cassettes to suit everyone from roadies to mountain bikers, and similar to SRAM, uses a tiny 10-tooth sprocket. But why 13? Because it goes a long way to reducing the inherent compromises on a 1x11 setup, namely range and gearing steps. 1x13 gets you very close to the 14 actual usable gear ratios you have on a regular double setup when you remove the duplicate gear ratios. So today I'm riding the gravel setup, a 10-46 tooth cassette with a 42 tooth chain set. That's roughly equivalent to a 46-30 double chain set with an 11-32 cassette in terms of range. Well, as you can see, I got a bit muddy, but it's a really good ride and it's given me a lot to think about really. And with this group set, there's some things I like, some things I don't like, and there's one thing I really don't like. So let me run you through those. I should add, this is not an in-depth review. I've not had it for months and months, so I can't really comment on durability or long-term performance. It's just really a first ride impression to give you a bit of a taste of what the group set's like. There will be a more in-depth piece over on our website, road.cc, so go and check out that as well. But for now, let me run through some of the things about Rotor's 1x group set. Let's start with the positives then, and 1x13 works extremely well. This 1x13 setup removes many of the compromises with a current particularly 1x11 group set, and gets us a lot closer to providing a real alternative to a double chain set regular setup, because you have 13 speeds where you have a 14 usable speeds on a 2x setup. And I found the range worked extremely well. The 46 was big enough to get up the steep climbs around here in Bath, and the 10 tooth on the back got me down the fast descents and along the flatter roads with the 42 on the front. So range was good. One of the big drawbacks with 1x11 is not actually the range, but it's the gaps between the sprockets, and it's something that people talk about a lot, being in that right cadence all the time. Now this not only gives you the range, but it reduces a lot of the gaps between some of the gears, especially down in this business end of the group set when you're on the road and you're doing 30k an hour. So I never found myself in the wrong gear. I didn't find a big jump from one sprocket to the next. In fact, I reckon if I blindfolded, I'd be hard pushed to tell the difference between this group set and a regular compact setup or a semi-compact. So that worked extremely well. I'm very impressed. Another clear benefit of a hydraulic group set is there are no batteries. So no batteries to charge up and worry about how much charge you got left. And compared to mechanical, there's no gear cable to stretch or snap as well. So it's a totally sealed unit, hydraulic unit. As you can see, it's dealt with the mud really well. And all the indexing is in the rear mech. So in theory, like an electronic group set, it should never need any adjustment or tuning. So it should be easy to use, require no maintenance in the long term. as I said, I can't comment on the long term. So real world or customers buying this bike and the group set will be the real people to kind of give us feedback on how this group set is to live with. But in theory, the hydraulic setup should be very easy to live with, and you shouldn't need to regularly bleed it. It should also be pretty lightweight as well. You've got no front mech at the front, obviously. They've got one chainring, so that's lighter. And it's all CNC machine, all beautifully made. Quite big looking rear mech, but it's not that heavy. And you've got no batteries or motor as well. So it should be a lighter weight group set than electronic and other offerings. So some good things to say about it. Now I talk ergonomics. Ergonomics are mostly good, but not as good as current rivals. It just doesn't feel very refined. It doesn't feel as nice in the hand as the latest from Shimano or Campagnolo in particular, which are one of my favourite hood designs. But everyone's personal, everyone's different when it comes to hood feel. It just feels a bit basic and a bit large and a bit simple really compared to some of the other hoods on the market, and I think they could do a lot more work just to make it a bit more refined and a bit nicer, a bit more ergonomic, a little bit smaller as well. And the other annoying thing I found as well is the rubber material moves around quite a bit on the body of the hood, and particularly when you're braking heavily and suddenly and you're gripping really tightly, the rubber can move around and you can hear it clicking a little bit there. Well, so that's a bit annoying. The other thing, this bike hasn't had a lot of use. It went to another magazine before us, and already the rubber is starting to wear out and come apart where it meets the bar tape there, so that's not a good sign for durability. Now ergonomics in terms of the lever shape and the shift paddle are fine. It's a nice curved lever, carbon fibre, easy to reach from the drops, and the hoods as well, so I had no problems with that. And that brings me on to my biggest issue with group set is the shift performance, the shift quality, or if I'm being brutally honest, the lack of it. It just doesn't feel as refined, as nice to use as rival group sets. I have nothing wrong with the one paddle, that works fine for SRAM double tap, which is actually a group set I quite like, so having one paddle is fine. The issue is, it's just not very defined when you're changing gear. The click doesn't feel very tangible when you're pushing the lever. It's easier changing up to a smaller sprocket for a harder gear, because you just push it a little bit, but to change up to a bigger sprocket when you're going on the climb, it's quite tricky to sometimes get it to move up, and there's definitely a knack to it. But it's just not as simple to use as a rival group set, which is very easy to use, very intuitive as well. You press the button or you move the lever, you get a nice solid click, nice feedback, and change gear. With this, I found it took me quite a while to get a feel for it. You need a bit of skill to push the lever just the right amount, which is fine and you get used to it, but I don't think we should have to have a really highly tuned, calibrated finger for changing gear. The group set should do it for you. Push the lever, press the button, it does it for you. This requires a bit of involvement, and sometimes it's quite satisfying to get the gear change working really sweetly, but I made as many bad gear changes as I did smooth gear changes, and I made more bad gear changes going up the sprocket, especially when you're panic shifting. You come up to a steep climb suddenly and you want to get down to a low gear. I just found it tricky to do that, and I had quite a few crunchy gear changes as well. So, and the lever feel is a bit like stirring your porridge in the morning. It's a bit mushy, a bit squidgy, and but the big problem is the click. There isn't a nice defined clunk click when you change gear, and it just makes it's a bit vague when you change gear. So that's my takeaway. Now, I should add, as I mentioned earlier, I've not ridden it a huge amount, but I've spent enough time, a reasonable amount of time required to get used to a new group set, and it's just not as easy or as nice to use as other rival group sets. So there's good things and bad things with the group sets, pros and cons definitely. Now I don't want to be too hard on Rotor. I really admire the fact they come to the market with a impressive group set, something different as well, and I like choice and I like variety of options, and this definitely is something different. 1x13 works fantastic. Hydraulic has a lot of potential benefits. I think if they can improve the shift quality, I think we have a really solid fourth choice in the group set market at the moment. But those are just my first ride impressions. As I said, not an in-depth review. If you bought the group set or you're looking at buying a group set, do let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions about the group set, any observations or anything you want to say about the group sets and what you think about it, as always, get down in the comments and let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, as always. But that's all for now. I need to go give the bike a wash before it goes back to Rotor, which just leaves me to say, don't forget to subscribe by hitting that red button down below if you haven't already, and hit the like button if you enjoyed watching this video. And I'll see you all again next time. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.